here we go. Right, so we'll start you off from this front angle.
Yeah.
So it's worth noting from the off that it's very, very common to see legs sitting a bit lower in the endless pool than you would normally find in a swimming pool, just because the stream of water's up here, not here.
Yes.
So you're kind of swimming uphill, as it were. So that's probably not quite as downhill as it, in terms of your legs, wouldn't be quite so bad in the swimming pool. I think they probably still are just below the body.
Yeah.
Because I can see what you're doing here is pressing down on the water, as opposed to getting fingertips over and pulling away, which looks like the other side to me is a bit more confident at doing that. Which side did you use to breathe to predominantly?
Left or my right.
The right. Okay.
I'm right hand. Yeah, I find it much more comfortable breathing
to the right.
To my right.
So the left hand would be in front. Okay, well watch it in slow-mo. Often the less dominant side is the more technically competent, if that makes sense.
The less dominant?
Yeah. Just because it's not really been overridden by sort of lots and lots of patterns over time, it hasn't really had a chance to ingrain. But yeah, I might just take you back there actually, because that's better. Cool. That doesn't look like it's slow. No, it is. Cool. So yeah, that arm looks straight, but we'll look at that from the other angle in a moment. So here, there's some really promising early catch going on there. Once you get that hand in, without that little scoop up, fingertips over, and then once you're into this position, you're fantastic. You get your elbow bent, get the forearm working, brace the wrist, and you push the water away. Excellent rotation as well. The way you finish that stroke off to your hips really helps the rotation, because you're just pushing that hip out of the way. And getting on with it. So that's good. So it's really the first third of the stroke that I'm thinking we need to do some tuning up on today. So I'll slow you down this angle and have a look as well. Awesome to see you breathing out as well. You're not breath holding.
Yeah, I found the bubble.
Breathe. Yeah, that mantra. It is really good.
Yeah.
It's really, really good. Cool. Okay, so yeah, you look like you're getting into that position quite well there. And then getting away again quite nicely. It's just that first little bit of the stroke, I think we just need to tune up today, just where that palm's coming out and pressing down.
Yeah.
It's not, I don't think it's quite so pronounced. Or maybe it is actually on this side. But that's all that turbulence you can see at the front, all those bubbles.
Yeah, it's really noticeable on my left hand, so it is, and it's something that I can see it when I'm swimming with my left hand in particular. Yeah. I find my right hand isn't too bad with it, but you can see there isn't as much turbulence with the right hand. No.
Yeah, we can see you just scooping in there. So it's just a matter of improving that initial feel for the water at the front of the stroke, just so that you feel confident in getting the fingertips in and getting over the water. So what we'll do is we'll just pause you as you come through there. And just do side by side. So let me think. I'm probably familiar with this swimmer, Jodie Swallow.
Jodie Swallow, yeah.
Have you seen? You've probably seen this footage on the Swim Smooth site, maybe.
Yeah, I remember. It's been a while now.
Has it? Okay, good.
Yeah,
excellent.
Since I've seen it.
Okay, cool. Cool. So what we'll do, we'll fast forward to where she's underwater. There we go. Cool. So she's a classic swinger. My gut instinct, sort of looking at you today, is just thinking that might be a good development pathway for you to go on. I think we'll have a look at your stroke rate in a minute. I'll take your stroke rate so we can get a bit of a feel for that. But generally, swingers have nice punchy rhythm in their stroke. They're very confident in open water. They're very confident in open water. They've got sort of that straighter arm recovery, so that that they can get through wind and chop. They're not sort of hampered by not having smooth conditions like you find in a pool. And it's, although it looks a bit scrappy above the water, it's what's under the water that is really, really key. So we're going to have a look at what she's actually doing here, and I'm going to slow her down just so that you can sort of appreciate what she's doing, because she does swim so fast. It's quite hard to take it in at real speed. So yeah, fingertips are in, and what we notice is that at all times those fingertips are below the wrist on this side. There's a little bit of break in the elbow there, but that wrist is below the elbow. At all times. So it really is, you're definitely from that point back, you're doing exactly that movement pattern. So it really is just that first third of the stroke when you're coming into the water that we just need to tune up today.
Okay.
And I think that's going to have a big effect on your leg kick as well, because we can see here, Jodie's got obviously very good natural buoyancy behind. You see those legs are tucked up behind her torso there, you can't even see them. Whereas obviously the endless pool is exacerbating that a bit, but there is a bit of kick from the knee, because obviously you're probably quite a good cyclist and runner. So it's very common to see good cyclists runners use their quads and their hamstrings predominantly rather than kicking from their hips.
Because I was in the pool last night actually, and I did 2.5k or so, and towards the end I could feel my quads starting to...
Okay. Well, there you are then.
Yeah.
That's pretty common, I think, both triathletes, but it is a matter of just streamlining that kick a wee bit, and often if you are pressing down on the water a bit, then the legs are sinking, so therefore you're having to work a lot harder, and then it just perpetuates the whole cycle. So what I look for in swimmers, and certainly as a coach, so the squad swimmers I work with as well, it's all about cause and effect. So we're trying to look at maybe not saying, okay, we need to improve your leg kick, let's look at the factors that are creating that situation where you're needing to kick like that. So if we can just, improve that part of your stroke's absolutely fine. And so it's just that initial bit. And then just play her from there. So you can see she's very punchy. There are bubbles coming off the front of her hand as well, but it is.
They don't last too long.
No, and you can see she's very deliberate about those fingertips being below. It is almost a real bracing of the wrist in order to be able to do that. So a lot of my squad swimmers sort of report that they do feel a little bit of forearm or wrist strain initially, just while they're getting strong enough to maintain that new position. But from above, you can see they're just fingertips in, nice straight arm recovery, which we'll see in you actually in a minute above the water. So we might just let you play to the overhead so we can compare you side by side above the water. But yeah, I think your head position's good. I think you've got a good neutral sort of position there when you're turning to breathe. I noticed on one side there's a little bit of over rotation where I could see both your goggles when I was above.
Yeah, I'd say to my left side. Sometimes I have a tendency to come higher on the left side.
Okay.
Whereas I can keep the head lower when I'm breathing to my right.
Okay.
I think it's just because I was predominantly breathing to my right for so long.
Got you. Yeah, that looked really tidy there. Oh, there we are. Look, you're looking at the camera actually, because that looks tidy. You can just see one goggle, a very, very quick turn. Whereas
that actually to my right.
Yeah, you can see both goggles there, can't you?
Yeah. Whereas I would have thought it was the
other way. Yeah.
That's gas.
But awesome rotation. It's great to see you from this angle because we can see that hip here. When you go the other way, we see the other hip rotating fully through. So in terms of the way you set up that catch and hand entry, there's no physical reason why you can't do it because you've got very, very good body alignment as well. There's not much snaking through the hips that I can see, which in the endless pool it really does highlight. Even if you've got a little bit of disconnection between hips and torso, it generally magnifies it. So I'm thinking those legs, should tidy up quite nicely. Just with that sort of improvement to the front of the stroke.
You can see the bend in your knee there.
Yes, could you when you're on your side? Yeah, kicking from the knee. But the thing is, it doesn't feel like that when you're kicking. I know myself.
Yeah.
It doesn't at all. And just looking at your ankles there, sometimes it is just a matter of having quite stiff ankles. It's just not allowing you to get into that very, very streamlined position.
Yeah, it's very, very stiff around the ankles. I don't have much flexibility there at all.
Yeah, because you're a pretty good runner, so you've got good stability for running.
Yeah.
That's usually what I see, and you can see it on the side on there.
Yeah.
So that's a simple matter of just doing some stretching before you get in the water, or making sure you're just being a bit more vigilant about that after your long runs.
Okay.
So you're basically trying to stretch out this plant, the sort of plant.
Yeah, and I used to sit on my knees a lot and do it, and I up until 2 weeks ago I had a bursitis in my knee.
Yeah. Okay.
So I haven't been doing it since.
No.
Because I'm worried about it. I was on anti-inflammatories and things like that. So I said, well, now if I do have to kneel, I'll put a pillow or something underneath.
Or rolled up towel. Yeah. No,
so I suppose I can go back doing it after runs, but just make sure that I'm pushing that the knee.
Yeah. The other thing I get my squad guys to do is stretch out the calves, because sometimes it can just be the lateral sides, and I know from cycling myself, doing a lot of miles, you sometimes get quite tight through here, which not until you have a sports massage that you realise that those laterals are quite sore, quite stiff, so you just can't get into that position because everything's so tight. And to be fair, our wetsuit will correct a lot of that. But we're trying to look at making it efficient with or without a wetsuit. So that's why Jodie's quite a good example here. Same as you, body position. But you can kind of see where I'm going with this swinger idea, I think. If we just let you both play, you haven't got the classic high elbow recovery. You're both sort of swinging through. Also, the thing is, to be a swinger, you need to have awesome rotation. And, you seem to naturally have that, and that's what kind of propels you through each stroke. And Harry Wiltshire's probably one of the best examples of an elite male triathlete. as a swinger. You know, I mean, he comes out of every open water swim first, basically. It's just a matter of getting on with it. So you can see how punchy her stroke is. You know, she's just absolutely flying through the water, doing 110 pace per 100. You know, she can hold that for as long as you like. I think this filming was taken just after she'd done the long cross worlds in Perth.
Okay, all right.
So she just let out the 4K swim. You know, quite happily. So she, you know, that's kind of her all-day pace. And when you watch that video on the website, they do say that actually. But so I think let's have a look at your stroke rate. Stopwatch. I'm thinking you could, you know, one of the next steps for you, I'd probably recommend is working with a metronome or a tempo.
I have one at home actually.
Oh, you do? Awesome.
I haven't used it in around 12 months, but I used to use it for just timing my
your lengths,
my hundreds and stuff.
Great for that. It's really good for that.
Just to try and get pacing because I found it was very inconsistent.
Gives you a training buddy, doesn't it?
Yeah.
That's a lot. Yeah. That's 65. That's 60. Let's do that. It's quite high underwater. Tell you what, I'll go fast forward you to overhead. It's easier. Yeah, 66. So okay. So that's a pretty easy progression, to be honest. I mean, Jodie's swimming there about 80, 85 strokes per minute. Most elites in any race will be swimming at sort of 90, between 80 and 90.
So I'm swimming 66 strokes a minute, is it? And you think it should be flat when it should be higher, is it?
Yeah, so I mean, normally what I do with my guys is once we've done the video analysis, we said, right, these are the 3 sort of technical things you need to consolidate.
Yep.
Sort of work on that for a bit first, and then there's sort of usually the third criteria. If I'm going to give you top 3 tips to walk away with today, that, you know, one of them will definitely be working on stroke rate.
Yes.
And what I would say is maybe do your CSS sessions, your pacing sessions over maybe hundreds and 50s. Do them over short distances just so you don't fatigue, because over 400 you'll find it quite hard to maintain. But sneak it up to 68 strokes per minute and just work at that for maybe 3 to 4 weeks, and then that starts to feel quite comfortable. And then once you feel you consolidate that, then move it up to 70. And just always take a little bit more recovery on those pacing sets where you start to think, okay, I'm getting a bit unravelled here, I'm not holding on to my technique. And maybe just cut it back to 75s or 50s until and then before you know it, you know, you're doing 400 with that new stroke rate, and then you've gained another 30 seconds, 60 seconds per 400.
And how do you know what the upper limit, or how do you know when to...
Good question. So on the SwimSmooth website there's what's called a stroke rate ramp test.
That's right,
I don't know if you've done it.
I haven't.
You need a partner. I quite often do that as a one-to-one session with my athletes.
That's one of the problems, because I find with work and everything, I just don't have time to... I do all my swimming on my own.
On your own, I thought you might.
You know, so that's one of the things that I find difficult. I guess one thing that I found, I got one of the Garmin 910, so at least now I can see when I'm in the pool
all your data.
where I'm falling down. So if I'm doing a 400, it's amazing sometimes to see that one length might be 3 seconds slower than all the others in a 200 or something. It's just that maybe you switch off for those few seconds on that one. So it's good. It's good from that. But other than that, I don't really have any feedback on.
At all.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's interesting. I mean, what I would say then, if you can't, I mean, if you could do a one-to-one, you know, with a coach somewhere, just that's the way to do it. I mean, you could almost do it on your own. I have had a go at doing it on my own, but you always need waterproof paper, because you basically need to do swim at 50, so you can just leave the stopwatch running. The thing is, it's counting the stroke rate that's the problem, so you need someone to sort of count the strokes, note the stroke rate, and then set the metronome for the next stroke rate, right, do another 50, time it, and then what we see when we graph the results, usually do 10, 15, something like that, you'll see 2 turn points. You'll see one maybe where you'll say to me in terms of the comments, because I get you to write a comment, you know, or feeding back a comment after you 50, easy, hard, or, you know, hard, whatever. You'll see where you suddenly made a big time gain by just simply dropping, or increasing maybe 2 or 3 strokes per minute, but the perceived effort isn't that much different. And that's kind of what you're aiming for, that's your sweet spot, really. So for some people, you know, it might be 10 or 5 or 15 strokes above what they're currently doing. And then they just, over time, they have to sort of work towards that. And then I normally sort of say to people 3 to 6 months later, do another test, because quite often that will then move everything up. And it's been amazing, actually, to watch some of the squad people, how quickly they've improved their times. You know, we've done a CSS test 6 weeks or 8 weeks apart. And I say, I don't know what's happening. I'm only swimming 5 strokes a minute faster, but my times just tumbled. You know, absolutely tumbled. Okay. So, but it is key to sort of look up the technique bit first. So,
So I
think we'll Yeah, put that one on. I mean, you might be able to find rope somebody to help you with that.
Exactly, yeah.
But yeah, I'd say today, let's have a look at some of the sculling drills just to tidy up this initial bit of the catch.
Yeah.
Give you some feel for the water so that you don't have so much turbulence. And I think that's going to have a big effect on those legs as well.
Okay.
Where you're not just pressing down for that nanosecond. I'm happy with the breathing. There's excellent exhalation there. Bubble, bubble, breathe. I think it's done a great job. We might have a look at this over-rotation on one side, but equally I'm aware that it does happen in this pool a bit because you are swimming into a turbulent stream of water in the swimming pool. It'll probably be much more discreet because you're swimming through clear water.
Yes.
So we might just do a little bit of work on that as well. But yeah, otherwise I think we can have a look at the stroke rate, sort of idea, and maybe just set you up on 68, 70 strokes a minute, just give you a go on the metronome to see how you sort of feel about it.
Okay.
But yeah. Have you done sculling drills before?
I have, but I don't know if I'm doing them right. I've never had proper feedback on them.
Okay.
So I've done front skull, mid skull and rear skull, but whether or not I'm doing them right, I don't know.
Is that with the masters or on your own?
On my own primarily.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. All right then, we'll have a look at that. The oldest drill in the book is doggy paddle, obviously. Don't know if you've done much of that.
I've done doggy paddle, not in a long time, but I used to do it with the masters.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's a friend of mine that's actually a really good swimmer, and he's a big fan of it. He's a big fan of doggy paddle and Tarzan.
Oh right, cool, excellent. Yeah. No, I'm a big fan of doggy paddle. I think it just helps you get that sort of prior perception sorted out in the front.
Yeah.
And the other one that I think for someone like you, just to help with that sort of catch at the front, is the unco drill. So it's the single arm drill with one arm by your side.
Okay.
Which is quite advanced, but for somebody with the rotation range that you've got, I don't think that's going to be too much of a problem. But I always get people do it with fins usually.
Yeah.
And it just basically doesn't let you sort of scoop up and hang around. You basically just got to get in there and get on with it.
Yeah. One thing that I find actually personally when I'm swimming when I'm doing band and buoy, because